I want to talk about story living. So this is what I am really passionate about. My PhD is in story living, which kind of says a lot, I think. And this is one of the trickiest areas, but one of the most important ones that creators need to understand when it comes to making immersive experiences, because it's no longer telling the side of a story. It's about creating an environment and letting the experience of being there define and determine the narrative. And that's really difficult to get your head around. So I said I spent 10 years in TV, and I was used to filming and editing, and I knew the grammar of what I had to do. I knew how to frame a shot. I knew how my interviews were. I knew how I had to edit. It was all very simple, not demeaning anybody that does that. But it's very different when you take away what that story is. I'm being spied on by a 6-year-old right now. I can just see a 6-year-old staring at me, so excuse me for that. Go to bed, please. It is very, very difficult to switch from a mode of storytelling to one of story living. And it means that you've got to start thinking differently. Your audience is completely different. It's no longer a passive audience that are just receiving the information or the images that you want to give them. They are actively experiencing something. They're living that message and interpreting it in their own way. And that can have really great impact, which I know Sammy will talk about after. It can be really, really powerful for the audience to experience something themselves. And this notion of story living, sorry, that was just when I lived in VR. The notion of story living is something, we can go on about that after if you like, is something that has been picked up quite a lot in terms of brands and thinking about marketing. And we see a lot of experiences being created for companies that recognize that the best way to sell something is for people to experience it. So how can you experience it? Along comes immersive media. So this is with the Drum talking about it, and in Rolling Stone as well, where they were talking about moving into this world. It's about creating those spaces where people live out their own stories within a frame. You don't have to give away all control, but you will give away that storytelling, that fixed narrative, which is really good, really. At the heart of that is this fundamental shift in how we think. It's not about watching a story anymore, it's about feeling a story. It's always down to that emotion, that impact. What is it like to experience something? How am I going to feel? And how do you then translate that as an experience? What comes is this emergence of this new holistic art experience of the mind. I am really nerdy. I love my philosophy of technology books, and the 90s was the best time where the best thoughts around the opportunities around immersive were happening. So I can do a full book list for anybody that wants to read more.